Today is day 4 of week 3. We are continuing in section 1.3 and we're continuing with partitions. So 1.3 coordinate geometry day 4, segment partition day 2 to calculate the coordinates of a point a specific distance from an endpoint. So just as a reminder from yesterday's notes, basic steps are graph the segment, making sure that the endpoints are labeled, form a right triangle so that you get a horizontal and vertical distance. Make sure you record those on the graph. We're going to calculate the fractional value. Basically, we're going to take the horizontal and vertical distances that you got and multiply them by the fraction in the question. Then you're going to figure out the direction that you want to go, so you know if you're going to be adding or subtracting. So if you're going to the right, you're adding. If you're going to the left, you're subtracting. If you're going up, you're adding. If you're going down, you're subtracting. Once you figure that out, then you're literally going to do what you've decided. You're going to add on or subtract off from the x value using what you got after you multiplied. And you're going to add on or subtract off your vertical value or your y value with the number you got after multiplying. And always remember to plot your answer so you know that it actually ends up on the segment. Don't just assume it's going to end up there, because if it plots well off the segment, then you know something went wrong. So remember that you should have already printed off the notes from the blank notes file. If you did not, then this gets a little trickier because you have to stop the video a lot to write down the question and make a graph. So this is a little easier if you can print it off. If you can't, I understand that, but it is imperative that you are taking notes. Please pause the video as needed. So given the coordinates of point A at -9, 4, and point B at 3, 0, you're going to find the coordinates of point Q that is 2/3 the distance from point A to point B. And I've got the steps down here on the side just in case you've forgotten them. So go ahead and pause the video so that you can grasp segment AB. Okay, so once segment AB is graphed, and remember that -9, 4 means that you are going to the left 9 and up 4, and 3, 0 means you're just going to the right and not going up or down. So here's segment AB. We're going to form a right triangle, and it can be above or below the segment. You need a horizontal leg and a vertical leg of the right triangle. So those are where I put them. That does not mean that's where you have to put them. And you're going to figure out how long this horizontal leg is by either counting, or remember the distance formula says you can subtract these two. And ignore the sign, so it's 12. And then vertically, again, you can count them or you can subtract these two, and it's a 4. So now we're going to figure out how much to go, because we don't want to go all 12 and all 4 because we end up at B. That's the entire distance. That's not 2/3 the distance. So this is where multiplying comes in. So horizontally you had a 12. You're going to multiply by 2/3. So 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So 2 times 4 is 8. Vertically you have 4. So you want 2/3 of 4. Well, the problem is 3 and 4 don't cancel. So 2 times 4 is 8. So now 8/3. Well, 8/3 is a little difficult to graph. So let's make it mixed. So 3 goes into 8 twice with 2 left over. So 2 and 2/3 is something a little easier to graph, but I know a lot of you don't like fractions. So let's make it 2.67 because we always round to 2 decimal places. The problem is that our graph is really tiny, so we're going to make it all the way down to just 2.7. So I'm rounding it to 2.7. You don't have to circle them, but remember, I like to circle them, so I remember I'm using an 8 and a 2.7. So now I need to decide on my direction so I can decide if I'm adding or subtracting. So look over here. and I'm going from point A to point B. So it means I'm going to the right and down. Okay, so from point A, I'm going to the right and down. How much am I going to the right? How much horizontal movement is there? It's 8. And since it's to the right, we're going to add 8. And then I'm going down. Well, how much am I going down? 2.7. So since I'm going down negative, it's or minus 2.7. Now remember yesterday I said it was real easy to count. We could have counted 8 and went down 2.7. 2.7 is a little harder to count. You could definitely give it a try. But remember, you also have to tell me exactly what coordinate that is. So it's a little easier if we do it algebraically. So our point Q should be at -1 and then 1.3. So -1 and 1.3, or -1, whoops, -1 and 1 1/3, which does end up on the segment. So that is our point right there. So what, in case you haven't caught on, the difference between yesterday and today is simply yesterday were all whole numbers. Today we're going to have decimals. So again, go ahead and pause the video long enough to graph the given point A at 2, 8 and B at -6, -4. This time we're going to be finding the coordinates of point P, that is 1/6 the distance from point A to point B. Okay, so point A should be 2 to the right and 8 up, got it. And B should 6 to the left and 4 down, got it. Okay, so now we're going to form a right triangle. This time I went above. Again, it doesn't matter if it's above or below. You just need to form a right triangle. Okay, I want you to go ahead and pause the video and calculate the vertical and horizontal distances. Okay, so the horizontal distance, and I like to do that one first because it's the x-axis, or the x value, is 8. Remember, I can count it, or 2 minus -6 is 8. Vertically, it's 12. Again, I can count it, or I can subtract. So now what do? Good, we're going to multiply. So horizontally, we had 1/6 of 8. So that's 8/6, which reduces to 4/3, which is 1 1/3. Again, if you're okay with that, leave it. Otherwise, it's 1.3. Vertically, we had a 12. So 1/6 of 12 is 2. We have a 1/3 and a 2. Okay. So now I want you to figure out the direction. Good. The direction is left and down. So for point A, it's left and down. So we're going to subtract and subtract. Are you going to subtract the 1.3 or the 2? Good. 1.3 is the horizontal or the x value. So we're going to subtract 1.3. And we're going to subtract the 2, the horizontal or y value, or sorry, the vertical or y value. So point Q is at 0.7 or 7/10, 6. So we're going to go 7/10 to the right here. So that's a little more than halfway between 0 and 1. And then we're going to go up to 6. And there it is. There's our point. Now it's really hard to see. We're not quite all the way to the corner there because we're not all the way quite to 1. Okay, so this example is a little different because we don't have a slanted segment. So it's not going to be the hypotenuse of a right triangle, yet that's part of our process. So let's go ahead and start like normal. Go ahead and graph. A is -1,5 and B is 5,5. Go ahead and pause and graph that. Okay, so -1,5 and 5,5. It says find the coordinates of point R that is 2/5 the distance from A to B. And if you're supposed to try to make a right triangle, you can't, because this is segment AB is supposed to be the hypotenuse. So the purpose of the right triangle is to help us find distance. Well, we can still do that without the right triangle in this instance. Horizontally, what is the distance between A and B? What's the distance from -1 to 5? It's 6. So the horizontal distance is 6. Well, what's the vertical distance? Correct, there is no vertical distance. So that number is a 0. So the vertical distance is a 0. Okay, so now we're going to calculate 2/5 of 6 and 0. So horizontally, we're looking at 2/5 of 6. So 2 times 6 is 25, or 12, sorry. 12 divided by 5 is 2 2/5, or 2.4, so just under 2.5. Vertically, remember it was 0. We were not going up, nor were we going down. So 2/5 of 0 is still 0. So we're not going to be moving up and down at all. Remember, I like to circle those. You don't have to. So now let's come up with direction. We're going from A to B. Which direction are you going? Correct, you're going to the right only. So you're going to the right only. Vertically, you're not changing. Nothing's changing. So you're going to add 2.4, and then nothing is changing. So if you want to put a +0 there, you can. If you don't, that's fine too. And so now point P is the ordered pair. 1.45. So 2.4 minus 1 is 1.4. So it's 1 4/10, so it's just under 1.5. So we're going to plot that point. So we're going to go to 1.5. Oops. 1.5. Pull it back just a little bit. Go up to 5. I'm having a hard time with my mouse. Okay, so there's 1.5. Pull it back just a little bit. Go straight up. And there is your point. Okay. Don't forget, you can rewatch this video as many times as you'd like. Go ahead and practice in your notes multiple times. When you're doing your assignment, it is imperative that you do it on your own piece of paper. This is very difficult to do without the graphing, without the visualization. It's much easier with that, so please make sure you're doing your work. Email your teacher if you have any questions. You can request email responses or Zoom meeting. Please be specific with your questions so that we can give you a better answer. Thank you.